Right now, though, we want to take you to our top story happening in Columbus, Ohio. The chief of police speaking out about the mysterious shooting deaths of Ohio dentist Spencer Tepe and his wife, Monique. Chief Elaine Bryant says that they're working to answer the community's questions, but some details just have to stay under wraps in order to protect the integrity of the case. She spoke with Columbus station WSYX and says, quote, "We know that there are a lot of concerns and a lot of questions surrounding this case, and we want to be able to be as transparent and answer as many of them as we can. Unfortunately, there are some things that we can't talk about for the integrity of the investigation," end quote. She says they've received numerous tips about a person of interest seen in this surveillance footage here. No arrests have been made. The Tepes shot inside of their home on December the 30th. Their two young children, a 4-year-old daughter and a 1-year-old son, and a golden doodle named Larry were all left unharmed. Let's talk about this case. I've got two great guests standing by. I want to bring them in now, see what they think. Retired FBI Special Agent Jennifer Coffindaffer is with us, and so is retired NYPD detective and the host of the Gold Shield Show, Tom Smith. Good morning to you both. Jen, I want to start with you, if I may, please. Your thoughts on something that was reported by Fox Digital. I know you've heard about this. A neighbor reporting a 911 call 11 days before the murder. So here it is. 11 days before an Ohio dentist and his wife were killed, a woman who lives down the street called 911. It was around 2:30 a.m. to report somebody banging on her door who just wouldn't leave. Fox News Digital again obtained a 911 call placed on December the 19th to corroborate this. This is at a resident located just down their street. A woman reported that someone was banging and knocking on her door at 2:31 a.m. Jen, your thoughts?
Well, first of all, definitely law enforcement has to look into this situation. However, this is not the same modus operandi that we see here with somebody easily able to access the house of the Tepes. Further, I think what's important is that area that these houses are located in. It's really surrounded by some of the worst areas that exist in Columbus. So it does make sense to some degree that you might have people leaving bars and so on and so forth that would be, acting erratic like this. Not saying it's not connected, but it doesn't seem to be connected on first blush.
Yeah, I appreciate your insight, Jen. I have a clip from Rob Misley, who is Spencer Tepe's brother-in-law. He's caring for the children right now, and he spoke to our affiliate and said that he does not believe this is random. Let's take a listen.
It just seems like it was not a random act where somebody broke in and this, trying to steal stuff. Like, it just seems a lot more intentional than that.
Personal.
Personal, yes. Just unbelievably disgusting that somebody could do something so evil.
Tom, what do you say? Does it seem personal in your professional opinion?
Oh, 100%. This was a targeted murder, without a doubt, because of just all the factors that we've laid out over the past couple of weeks of, no forced entry, where they were killed in their house, the children being, not harmed, and the dog. Someone seeming to know the layout of the neighborhood and the house and the timing of it as well. I truly believe this was someone they knew from either the past or something presently happened to set this horrible set of circumstances in motion.
Yes, Tom. Jen, I want to go through some details about the case for anybody maybe just hearing about it. I'm getting a lot of people reaching out to me because they know what I do and saying, have you heard about this case? This is awful. 3 9mm spent shell casings found inside the family's home. No signs of forced entry, no firearm, though, found at the scene. Spencer was 37 years old, Monique 39. Police believe the window that they were murdered was between 2 a.m. and 5 a.m. And they believe that they were murdered on the top floor of their house during that 3-hour period. Jen, if you could know anything about this case, what would you want to know? What are the questions, I guess, burning in your mind? Maybe that's the better way to ask it as a seasoned investigator. What's troubling you?
Well, what's really troubling me is all this video that is in and around this home. Not only both ring cameras at that home, but cameras that are across the street, also cameras that are at a neighbor. There are so many cameras in this neighborhood. And what's bothering me is I understand how long it takes to review this footage. It's unbelievable, a time pull. I want to know why they haven't asked, say, the FBI for their help, not in anything other than analyzing this evidence. I think this is moving too slow. You have somebody out on the streets that is capable of murdering 2 individuals. Yes, I agree it's targeted. But what happens if somebody starts sniffing around him? Is it possible that he would take them out? So I just think it's really important that they speed up their investigation.
Excellent point, Jen. Yeah, and dovetailing off of your point, Tom, you know, I have many friends in Columbus. I mean, this is rocking the community. It has people on edge asking questions, and I can't imagine how the people on that street may be feeling. What would you say to them and anyone else who feels unsettled this morning that this case hasn't been solved?
Yeah, it is. And you know what, just to back up a little bit, you know, you kind of blame the police department. You know, you have to get out there. I completely understand the integrity of the investigation. I've been there. I've had to hold on to certain circumstances when it comes to a case and releasing it. I get that. But you also have to take into account, like you said, Julie, the safety and the mindset of that neighborhood to put them at ease that it wasn't just a random act of someone knocking on doors and breaking in and murdering people. This had something personal behind it. And that, you know, takes a lot of heat off of the neighborhood and what they're thinking. But like I said, I understand the integrity of it, but you also owe it to the community to have them at ease.
Definitely. So well said, Tom. Jen Coffeneffer, I want to go back to you. You raised an interesting point yesterday. You had us all talking. You were saying how looking at how popular Google searches were for Dr. Tepe might provide some indication. Would you kind of share some more with us about where investigators may go digitally to try to find some good direction to pursue?
Right. No, absolutely. So if you look at Google Trends, it's always very interesting to evaluate when people and places are being Googled in and around a murder. So for instance, really quickly in the Bryant Kohberger, I looked at that 5-week period before there was a suspect name, and you could see Bryant Kohberger's name before anybody knew it being Googled over and over and over again, which I think were done by Bryant Kohberger. In this case, you look at a flat line of this dentist, Dr. Tepe, nothing except for on November 30th. And then you see a huge spike in review of his account. In other words, web searches and so on. You compare that with after his murder, of course, it's going to spike, but a huge spike on this other day. In addition, there was a huge spike on December 5th, huge. In fact, the largest spike for that address, 14114 4th Street, there in Columbus. Why? That is the largest spike that has nothing to do with after the murder. So I would be asking myself, who Googled that? Why? I don't know that there was a party there. I've reached out to the brother-in-law. I just don't understand why these huge spikes unless somebody was looking into them at that point.
Oh, yeah, that's interesting. Boy, you know, and to follow up, a detective, might that be worth Columbus police getting a warrant to get those records from Google and try to find out an IP address where these searches were generated from?
Yeah, Jen brings up a great point. You have to use technology to your advantage today. There's so many avenues that you can use it on a law enforcement level with warrants and just general searches, I think is a great point. And I think that's where this may break because of the digital footprints that everybody has these days. You can't get away from it. And you have to use it to your advantage when it comes to something like this, where you don't have a viable lead going forward. You have to work backwards into their backgrounds, the neighborhood's backgrounds. What other crimes took place in and around that area that might be concerning or linked into this? That one case that they have of someone randomly knocking on a door in the middle of the night. Where's that person? Why wasn't that person a radio car dispatched to see at least who that was in an area knocking on doors? You know, all of this could lead to something. So you have to use technology to your advantage these days.
Yeah, definitely. Great insight from you both. You both have been following this one closely, as have we. We'll see if anything breaks. We hope very soon. Agent Jennifer Coffendaffer, Detective Tom Smith, thank you both kindly.